And we're also hearing reports that the shooter's mother is allegedly not cooperating with law enforcement. She has hired a criminal defense attorney. And even though the shooter was a legal adult, 23 years old, could his mother face charges? What do you make of this? That she's supposedly not cooperating. You'd think she'd want to do everything she can to try to help get some answers.
Yeah, well, I spent 40 years as a police officer in the city of Minneapolis and the elected sheriff of Hennepin County. I was born and raised in that very community, continue to live there. I think the investigation is really early in terms of ongoing. There are going to be a lot more things that come out, the manifesto that people have seen on social media. They're going to wonder and ask, who was this person? How did he or she get to where they're at today, to being so evil?
Yeah.
And in terms of any type of criminal charges, I guess that depends on what the investigation finds. It appears early on that the guns were purchased legally, that the individual who did the shooting was a legal adult here in Minnesota. And so maybe he had some help, maybe he didn't. We really don't know, but that'll all be coming out here in the next few days, weeks, months. But it doesn't change the fact that these two young kids were killed and this community is in chaos.
Yeah, and you mentioned the guns there. And shortly after this heartbreaking and tragic shooting, Minneapolis' Mayor Jacob Frey called for a statewide and federal ban on assault weapons. I just got to know, is there any way to have this conversation about policy without overlooking the deeper causes of violence, the mental health issues that this individual clearly had? What do you make of these comments just hours after these two children were brutally murdered?
I'm surprised it took Mayor Frey only a couple hours to come out with this. Usually he does it immediately. It's an old line story from him. Mental health issues are really important. They are going to find with this individual who did the shooting that there were all kinds of issues and red flags that people should have said something. Maybe the mother, maybe relatives and friends, maybe an employer. But you got to ask yourself, nobody in their right mind does something like this. He barricaded those kids in the church and then slaughtered them.
Yeah, no, it's sick when we think about the details. And we know that Governor Walz has called for more security and law enforcement at schools in the state and religious establishments. He's done that now. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. But if someone was stationed outside, I have to think that would have been a deterrent for this individual. But I mean, I'm told that you say you're a police officer for 40 years there in Minneapolis. I'm told that the police force has drastically dropped. Less and less people are able to patrol the streets there, especially since 2020. Can you elaborate on that?
Right. So following the death of George Floyd, they had a defund the police movement here in Minneapolis. It was the catalyst for the rest of the country and some of the civil unrest we saw. Minneapolis Police Department was decimated. They lost almost 500 personnel. They were only a 950-person department to begin with. It's 4 years later, and they still don't have their staffing back. Maybe 50%, maybe 60% of what it was. Crime is rampant. That is the failure of leadership of elected officials like the governor of this state or the mayor of the city, that city council. They can do so much better. The men and women in law enforcement in Minneapolis are working really hard. The true heroes are the ones that responded that day. The cops, the firefighters, the paramedics, the family members who came to help, the neighbors, the doctors, the nurses. But they need some help. This doesn't happen just in a vacuum.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And the numbers are so drastically down when that shouldn't be the case. And as you mentioned, God bless those first responders who had to respond to that horrific scene just 2 days ago there in Minneapolis. Sheriff Rich Stanek, thank you for taking the time this morning. Appreciate you this morning.
Yeah, thank you for bringing some light to this. I appreciate it.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.